everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a special guest today on the Maurice Brown Show, an actress and writer known for Unfollower, Embers of the Sky, and Curse of the Black Lagoon. And most recently, she was cast along with the very funny Leland Klassen and the very talented Gigi Orsillo in the comedy Sleeper Agent. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, with no further ado, the very talented Julie Crisante. How are you, Julie? How are you?
Hi, Maurice. I'm doing good. How are you?
I want to get that right. Crisante or croissant?
I kind of say it more with a hard A, so like Crisante.
Ah, Crisante. You see, that's what happens when you think you know everything. You don't. Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much. Julie,
Sure.
Thanks so much for being on the show. We were talking about Sleeper Agent, the film you were most recently seen in, which is hilarious. But as far as the pandemic goes and this trap that all entertainers are in right now, not to mention other avenues of life, but as it pertains to us as performers, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during this time?
Well, I'm a family person and I have two kids, ages 6 and 10. So that keeps me busy. But, there's probably since the whole pandemic, maybe I'd say only about three or four projects that I've been very fortunate enough to work on. But just, hasn't been the typical norm with the, steady flow of things coming in.
Yeah.
And I had moved in August out to the country, just about, I'd say 20 minutes east. So we got 5 acres and a couple of goats. So, that's something new, keeping us entertained and busy.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of stuff in the acting world so much for yourself right now, I guess. But have you had a chance to be on any sets, like on any level during this time?
I don't really recall one was in the beginning when this kind of whole thing really broke, I guess, in March last year. And shortly thereafter, I was on a set and, they were adhering just very closely to the guidelines with the masks. Now, more recently, I was on another set and still taking precautions, still using distance, things like that. But it was, I guess the level had been a little bit lightened. So I don't really remember exactly the timeline. But yeah, filmmakers and people are watching out and being cautious.
Well, the thing about it is, one thing that's positive that has come out of all of this is that people have learned to be a lot more conscious of their cleanliness, if I may say. It's like I have a guy, my coworker, get this one right here, Julie, for the first time in 15 years, before leaving the bathroom,
Oh,
is that not amazing, Julie? That's absolutely amazing. And I applauded him. I went, bravo. Bravo.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's just this thing I have about breathing, Julie. But anyway, I think that people have learned a lot more about cleanliness during this time. So, that's a positive thing. But being on set, there is a protocol that's being instituted now. And I've done a lot of auditions at home, on Zoom. I haven't had the privilege of being on a set, which is actually safer. And I think when we get back to normal, this platform we're on right here is probably going to go back with us. But, Julie, seems like you're very content to just kind of like wait this thing out. That's very good.
How do you mean? I don't know if I'm content. Oh, you mean to get going again, or?
Right. To actually get out there and start doing some stuff and try to get some more films or commercials or what have you?
Oh, I've been auditioning. No, I'm actually looking to, I like staying busy, and that's something that I actually do, try to do. It's just, I guess that's just how it is at the moment. But there's ebbs and flows, right? So it's just kind of like a lull. But no, I'm ready to, get working again for sure.
Now, we were talking about Sleeper Agent. You were very, very good in Sleeper Agent. You were very. I loved your role. Your role was very comedic. You did a great job with it, and of course, working with Leland Klassen can get the comedic juices going without a doubt. But what was it like being on set with Leland, and then putting together those fighting scenes?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, Leland, he's very funny, of course, but he's also very down to earth and easy to talk to, and just
Yeah.
very kind and humble. So my first day on set, and there's a whole story behind that, but I like me getting cast. But my first day on set, I was completely new. I had only found out that I was being on the project like a week before I was actually called to set.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, upon getting there, I was pretty much greeted, by some of the crew and Leland, and it was like, okay, we're gonna get to work right away, and we're gonna practice these stunts. And I was like, well, okay, let's just get right into it. Leland makes you feel very comfortable and at home, and obviously, like we said, very, very funny person. So I mean, it was just a blast. It was really the stunts though were a bit of a challenge at different moments for sure, because Leland's very tall. I'm tall myself, but it's learning these new moves and then trying them on each other without hurting each other, hurting yourself.
Yeah.
But it was fun. That was a very fun set to be on.
And Gigi Orsillo was giving you a shout out. Hey, Gigi, how are you? And yeah, Leland is about 6'3", and for you are very tall for a lady. How tall are you, Julie?
I'm 5'10".
5'10".
So, yeah.
Yeah. For a lady, that's tall.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good. You ever play basketball or sports in school?
For a short while, but not so much basketball. I was more of a softball player.
So tell me what it was like working with Gigi Orsillo.
Working with Gigi is like having your best friend on set every day. I mean, she's just so sweet and bubbly, like what you see. It's kind of strange saying it while you're watching, but it's but truly, I would say it whether she was here or not. I mean, what you see is what you get with her. Like happy smile, very charming, very lovely, just a great person. So being on set with her is just fun, always fun.
And that film was done in 2020, and it looked like that was an absolute hit of a faith. Would you categorize Sleeper Agent, because I was thinking about this earlier today, but would you categorize it as a faith-based comedy?
Yes,
Okay.
I would. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And because I was trying to it's awesome. It's a wholesome, clean comedy, but I was trying to see if you could attach faith-based to it. But good, I'm glad you can actually categorize it as such, because there are so many quality, Christ followers as actors in that film. And it's just so well done. Now, let me switch gears here with you, Julie, to another film that you, I believe, co-wrote with your husband called Unfollower, and it deals with domestic violence. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. Definitely deals with domestic violence, but a kind of the central theme around it is fighting back against the bully in your life. And it really was kind of born out of some of my own struggles. And in a way, I mean, so I'm an actress, right? My husband, he likes writing. So it's just together, and then having this story that you want to share, but still have some, not be completely out there with all of the personal details of your life.
Right.
So basically that was a way for me to kind of talk about things that I've experienced within a different context. But I think it's also something that I would hope would be helpful for people that would see that they don't need to continually take this attacks or negative behavior or whatever at them because they're afraid. It's like a fighting back, like
Yeah.
facing your type movie. Yeah.
And how can fans see Unfollower?
So Unfollower is on Amazon Prime to rent or
Okay.
buy, and then it is also available on Tubi, which is the free option. So I mean, that probably would be a better option.
Now, Tubi's a great platform to see quality films, and you don't have to pay for it. I mean, the only thing is you have to watch the commercials. But I mean, honestly, that's a great option, though,
Yeah,
if you want to see a film.
sure.
Tubi's a great platform. So you did Unfollower, and which I thought, I've got to sit down and check that film out. But I love the theme and the basis for actually doing the film. Tell me a little bit about how your faith influences you as a performer on stage or in film.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, it is. So let me put it this way. I have always wanted to be an actress since a very young age. But then when I became an adult and I was really trying to see where the Lord had me in my life, I,
Mm-hmm.
of course, went back to my passion, the dream that I had, and basically at that moment set it at his feet and was like, is this something I should pursue? Is this like, where do I go with this?
Yeah.
And I definitely felt affirmed in pursuing acting, and that was the course that he had me on. So in that general sense, I do believe that it is something that is from God and used to be used for just God's kingdom. But so, it's interesting. I want to be, my faith, it helps me want to be real. I want to tell real stories too. I mean, I'm not, with Unfollower, that wasn't so much faith-based focus as it was really just for everyone, but with a good message. Whereas I now have this stronger desire to write things that are with a very strong message, but not with maybe some of the typical style of what a Christian film might look like to some. So
Right.
I don't know. That was kind of a big mesh of different answers.
Actually, I love the answer because in regards to faith-based filmmaking, I think that, and Gigi wants us to know that you also did Fabled. I did not know that. And that's a film that is still in the works, or has it been released yet?
So no, right now it is a pilot that we shot. I mean,
Okay.
it's for a faith-based series
Okay.
that is fantasy, things like that. So no, it's still, I believe, in pre-production right now, the pilot.
Okay. Yeah. And I have a friend involved with that, Michael Patterson, I
Oh,
believe,
yeah.
is in there. And
Uh-huh.
so I know he's been working on it, and he's been talking a lot about it. I hadn't heard. Great. I didn't know you were in Fable as well. That's awesome. And this is going to be an episodic.
Yes. Yep. It's going to be
Awesome
episodic.
stuff. Awesome. But I loved your answer about the way that faith-based films are presented. And I think that there's a way to do it where it can be way more believable than it generally is at the present time. Although you do have a few of those faith-based films that are like whoa, that's wild, but that's needed, right? Because
Right.
that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
And so it kind of leads me into my next question. I love your answer there. What do you think the general state of faith-based films are right now in the eyes of the secular world?
So I this is from my limited perspective.
Okay.
I feel like, just from what I have seen and heard, is it's starting to, I feel like, go over those boundaries a little bit more. Like when you look at movies like Unplanned, things that it's like an important issue for anyone, whether you're a believer or a non-believer. People care about things like that. at least whether they're for it or against it. So I feel like there's a little bit what was the one that had with when the boy broke through the water? Was it called Breakthrough? Was that what it was called? Where he fell, and it was based on a true story. He fell into the ice, and he was on there.
Oh, I know the film you're speaking of. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I know that or at least I feel from what I've seen, that did fairly well amongst secular audiences.
Yes.
So I feel like there's, faith-based films are getting more of an interest of people to kind of look over that way. And, I really hope, though, that it just continues with just authenticity. And because here's the thing, I feel like sometimes certain faith-based writers, directors, it's like they're trying to show breakthrough. Yeah, thanks, Gigi. They're wanting to show the ugly to the world, or the sin to the world, or the broken people, but they're not doing it in an authentic way where to a truly broken person, they look at the screen and say, I feel that, I get that, that's me. They're looking at it still feeling like it's this tremendously watered down, like non-relatable character that they're like, well, that's not who I am. I just hope more that they will just truly show the grit and the ugly, and the pain where someone could truly relate to it and respond to the message rather than being like, this isn't real life, I'm turning this off,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, vindication, I always talk about vindication on the show, but I don't know if you've ever seen the faith-based crime series Vindication on PureFlix, but that is a show that is very realistic. It's raw. They tackle subjects that are really tough, but there's a way to tackle tough subjects without being lewd and obscene and profane, which is that. And that's the key difference between the way the world does it and the way that we ought to do it, because we have to be tackling these subjects. We've got to get in the arena of tough. And that's the only way we're going to get the secular world's respect and attention. If we keep throwing these softballs, at them, these underhanded pitches to them, they're like, that is so unrealistic and fake. And, they go the other way. So, and there's a way to do it. Vindication is an example of how you can get into some really tough subject where you can even get deeper and still handle it in a way that, because there are things that you don't have to show. We get it. We're all adults here. We can fill in the blanks. We don't need your help.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's just focus on the problem and how we can get healing.
Right.
The healing power of Jesus Christ. That's what we need. And vindication, again, as an example, they kind of get you and they lure you in. It's like, wow, this looks like NCIS or something. And then before you know it, you're in it. It's like, oh my gosh, these guys are going to the light. And I think it sets a great precedence for filmmaking in the Christian world. I think Jared O'Flaherty, who produces that and writes that series, I think that is a really good example, perhaps even a template of how faith-based filmmaking should proceed. He actually did. I won't stay on this too. I always get carried away when I talk about vindication. I'll say one more thing and we'll move on. But he told me about one of the episodes that was submitted at a film festival that was rejected at, I don't know, maybe a handful of Christian film festivals rejected that particular episode. And I think it was episode 2 where they were talking about teenage sexting. They briefly, and it was brief. I don't know if you remember the episode I'm speaking about, but I was flabbergasted. I'm like, why would a Christian film festival reject that? There was nothing seen there.
Yeah.
It was inferred.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't infer sin, I don't know what we're doing, Julie.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta be honest. I mean, there's stuff out there that's really obscene and lewd. That's bad. There wasn't. They didn't show anything, and it was inferred, and it was a. And matter of fact, I think Jared said he got compliments from parents for touching on the subject. So, and there's just a great thirst and need for the faith-based world to get, hey, here's a cliche, get real. But no, I'm glad that you answered the question the way you did. And Gigi says vindication is a great example of being more realistic and a great. I love it. That's it right there. It's like they are still remaining holy while tackling evil. You know,
Yes.
I mean, you know, the Minnesota Vikings don't have anything on their football team. They tackle hard. But it's respectful. There's a way to get this thing done. So that was a great answer. I love it. How do you deal before you get on a set? Have you ever done live stage plays, theater?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with the butterflies and the nervousness before you do a scene or you go on stage? Do you have a ritual or a process you go through to stay calm?
No, I don't. I don't have a process, but you know, it's interesting. Theater, interviews or anything of a live like speaking engagement brings far more butterflies than working on a film set, just because I feel like I'm the actor, you know, people there know that I'm the actor, so when I start doing my thing, they know, well, that's her job. It just doesn't feel intimidating for some reason. But theater, just because you got one shot, there's not another take for live performances, and same I guess with speaking, same with interviews, you know, when you know like people are watching, that definitely brings more nervousness. And I would say I don't have a process, but I would say that usually my nervousness physically translates into excitement. So I just kind of use it. Go with it.
Yeah. You just use it to propel you forward. It's adrenaline, you know, really. It's positive adrenaline. And the difference between sinking and swimming is making the decision that you will ride that wave of adrenaline. You know?
That's
so
good.
Let's just go. Let's let it rip. You know, that's my experience in stand-up. I mean, and also it's about preparation. Do you know your lines? Have you practiced enough? Have you put the hard work, the tough time in to know what you are supposed to do when you go to work up there? You know, if you've done everything and then you just go and let it rip. But I was about to say, as a comedian, I mean, when I get to a venue, I don't want to see my material. I don't want to be thinking about it. I don't want to be chatting about it. I'm done with it. I'm here now. I just want to enjoy the atmosphere, chit chat with friends about whatever. I try to completely block out what I'm going to say when I get up there.
Wow.
And
that's neat.
Yeah, well, and you know, because I feel like that makes me more nervous if, you know, once it's showtime, you don't want to be going over your final notes. It's like, if you don't know it now, dude, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to see it because it does make me more nervous. So I just block it out and trust that I've done enough, that I'm ready to go. I just trust that. And invariably, it just comes out. Boom. I mean, and it's shocking, really, to me, because I'm like 10 seconds before I get up there, like, you know, how am I going to remember all of this stuff?
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, you just get up there and you let it rip. In all of your time in this business, Julie, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of ups and downs and had a lot of different kinds of experiences. What is the biggest thing about acting that you have learned that has actually made you a better actress?
So I guess I would answer that like, is just the experience that I've had working with other actors and maybe what I've gleaned from them. I feel like, you know, when you're around people that you see are so free and just get into a character in a way that is just kind of so uninhibited, you know, where it's like they're going to go 110%. That has always just been so refreshing to me. And I've just seen it in just various different instances. And every time I see it, I'm just like that. Even if you're going 110% and you're going in the wrong direction, where
Yeah.
the director is like, nah, that ain't it, it's still the fact that like they can always reel that back in and
Yeah.
have you go in a different way. So I guess my point is, yeah, like I've just kind of learned to feel a lot less insecure about, I'm there to act, I'm there to be the character. So just kind of seeing people really get into a character very, naturally.
Yes. And I like what you said about going 110 miles an hour. Even if you're going in the wrong direction, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're
Yeah.
still bringing it.
Uh-huh.
You're still bringing it. That's what you have to do. And the director's like, okay, well, we can fix that. Let me just point you that way, buddy. That's where we're going. and it's fine. I learned that again, even in comedy, and whenever you do an urban room, if you're a comedian, if you ever think about doing stand-up comedy, Julie, and you ever do a black room, you better be on your game. I mean,
Okay.
you have got to be in your game. So what I learned was that if I'm at least unhinged, like if I don't have the rhythm necessarily, or if I'm not on that night, for example, right? But I'm so unhinged that the hecklers don't have a chance because I'm constantly coming forward. You know what I mean? I'm constantly bringing it. So the audience is kind of back on their heels a little bit. And that's just called giving it 100%. And of course, when you learn what you're doing and how to do it, you become very good. But Jerry Seinfeld said the most important thing about performing is energy.
That's good.
It's like more than 50% of your work as a performer. If you bring the dadgum energy, you have a really good chance.
Yeah, I agreed. Yep.
Jules gives 100% always. That's right, Gigi. No doubt about it. I believe that. After the way she knocked Leland around, there's no question. I loved it. That was hilarious. Oh my gosh, that was really funny. But honestly, yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's all about that, because if you and it's just, this will be my last joke analogy, but it's like this: if you tell a joke that you don't believe in, the audience knows it.
Yeah.
And it bombs. So you have to have your mind made up that whatever you're going to do, make sure it's 100%.
Yes.
Because whatever's wrong about it can always be corrected. So let me ask you this. Here's a question I'd love to hear an answer to: is a crossroads experience. Have you ever gotten to a point in acting where you were literally at a crossroads where you were like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this?
Yeah. I don't know to what degree of a crossroads it would really be, because if I was ever saying that, I was never truly believing it. Like, I always like, no, but you're always going to be an actress, and you know it, and you like it, and you're never going to stop. So that was the real me. But I can say, though, there have been just several different times in my life where some were due to just discouragement, like feeling like you've been working really hard and doing all of these self-tapes. I mean, I don't know if people always realize that, like, doing a self-tape, even the convenience of your own home, could be extremely painful sometimes. Just because of all of the factors that you have to deal with. But so there's just been times where, like, just discouragement has made me feel like, do I really want to do this? Or maybe certain things that had gone on in my life during the time that, marriage or moving, or being in a new place, having kids, things like that, where, you go back and check yourself and, like, can I do all this? And then you're like, yes, I can. But no, nothing big where I've truly ever questioned it. No.
Oh, good. It's a tough business, being in acting. there's a lot of rejection, audition after audition after audition. And then, it's like, man, when am I going to break through? When am I going to get one? And the time, the energy you sacrifice, with your family, your kids, to do this. And then, she, my mom always tells me, don't quit your day job, son. So, so you got to keep the bills paid and all those different things. So, it can be very difficult. And I know for me, I mean, the first 2 auditions that I did, I won. That I ever did. The first, I was in the film Love Different in 2016, directed by Anthony Hackett, and it starred Jen Gotzon Chandler and Tommy Ford. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm in the midst of this tremendous talent here. And it's a good film. It's a really good comedy. You can see it on Amazon or PureFlix. Love Different 2016. I won that first time up. Then I won another audition, and I just thought that was just how it was going to be. And I got a false sense of what this really is. I just happened to get lucky. I don't want to say lucky. The Lord blessed me with the opportunity to win the first 2, and it was a blessing. But at the same time, the reality is you don't always win them. And you lose way more, actually, than you win. I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things in this business. And it can lead to a lot of frustration over the long haul, and you start going, wow. And listen, Julie, I was talking to Leanne Johnson, last week, and Karina Dominguez yesterday. And there are a lot of good people in acting that quit, and then they're really, really good, very talented. Matter of fact, I might go as far as to say more talented than most, but they quit because they just don't have the energy to keep dealing with the no's, and the frustration levels.
Yes. Oh yeah. I tell my husband, so my husband is in sales. But as an actor, you're kind of trying to sell yourself, pick me. I can do this for you. And I was like, and it's and it feels like, and I love acting, and I do love auditioning. It's fun and exciting, and I love portraying new, fun, different characters. But they're looking at your physical look, the way that you talk, the way you carry yourself. You're acting, of course. And, there's just all these components, and it can feel so exhausting. And, and then, like you said, it's way more no's than yeses. Yeah. So it's like when you're constantly feeling like you're doing your best, you're doing your best, you're doing your best, and you hear crickets. Sure. That would be extremely discouraging, I think, to most people. So I think it's kind of, though, getting used to it as part of the job. Part of the rejection is part of the job. It's just going to happen. You have to get used to it.
Do you have a criteria as to how, particularly as a faith-based actress, do you have a criteria as to how you determine what kind of role that you will portray?
I don't know how specific my criteria is. There's definitely criteria. But it's more like I let it come to me and I assess in that moment. Because, for example, I am willing to play, a certain type of maybe shady character, like a certain type of woman, if it's being shown in a certain light amongst a certain story, as opposed to something that is, just about going out and partying and doing something wild. Like there's no that redemptive quality. I look at redemptive things.
Yes.
Amongst the story and or the character. But I definitely have turned down roles before based off of just not being comfortable, or I had an audition and I got to look at the script and I just really, but I kind of take it on a case by case basis. I just usually when I read it, I can just feel it in my, in my spirit. I can't say all the time, but I really try to just kind of take that before the Lord.
Yes, that's a key to remember in this business, And I don't have an issue with a film being necessarily secular as long as there, in my mind, I can identify some redemptive quality, as you accurately stated. I mean, you don't want to just do something wild for the sake of wild. No way. but I can get into a wild depiction, any way, shape, form, or fashion, some kind or some type of redemptive quality. And again, you as a faith-based actor can influence someone positively as well on the set. My friend Skeeta Jenkins, I don't know if you've ever met Skeeta before, but he takes that personally on secular sets. He makes it his business to find a way to witness to someone on that set, and he's maintained lifelong friendships doing that. So I know I had, speaking of winning an audition, that second audition that I won, I was like, oh wow, I got so excited. My wife and we got the script and we went straight to my lines, and I was doing a speech at a police banquet as mayor, right? Oh, this is awesome. And it was dealing with domestic violence, by the way. And I thought that was a redemptive quality, enough of a reason to be a part of this film to try to give a positive message here. Let me tell you something, Julie, I get to the dadgum table read, and there were 2 scenes in that film that were practically pornographic. It may well have been pornography. And I'm going, what am I doing here? And didn't read the script.
Mm-hmm.
Just read my lines. I didn't even know what, I assumed, Julie, that everything was going to be one way. And although the man may have had his heart in the right place, I didn't want my name attached to that film. Not only that, how would I go to a red carpet event with my family and with those scenes? Mm-hmm. It was just terrible. And I had already signed to be in the film, and God, by his grace and mercy, listen, the film folded, and I did not have to be a part of that anymore. So, but I learned a valuable lesson about reading scripts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You were just talking about how you read some and you were like, oh, no, I don't think I'm going to be a part of this. And it's huge for faith-based actors to understand the total scope. If you're a novice or you're young and you're just getting involved, that would be some great advice to convey and share, because you can get really caught up. It's just one of those things where it can happen. Well, I know it happened to me. Thank God he got me out of that situation. And speaking of young people, Julie, is there any advice that you can share with young aspiring actors and actresses that are thinking and or contemplating making this a career?
Oh, yeah. Well, one, first and foremost, would be get used to the rejection. Don't take it personally. Yeah. I can say I was on the other side of a casting table before as casting director for the film and follower. And we saw some people that were amazing actors, but they were not what we were looking for. And we didn't even give them a call back. And I feel like, especially when I was a younger actor, it can be very easy to quickly think like, oh, am I even good? Do I even? And, I actually have a very quick story I could share that's, I think, very inspiring probably to young actors.
Please, absolutely.
Okay. When I was accepted to Montclair State University over in New Jersey, they had 2 theater programs. One was a very small, select group of people that auditioned to get into this very acting specific trained class. It was the BFA acting class. Then there was just the regular general theater majors. I wanted to be a BFA actor, so I auditioned, and I was accepted. And again, like it was competitive to get into this class. I was so excited. 2 weeks before college starts, I get a letter saying that there was a mistake and that me, along with several other students, were accidentally brought into this BFA acting class when we actually didn't really make it. And I was
Oh, wow.
heartbroken because it changed the whole course of your college experience. You would either, be having acting intensive training for 4 years, or you would have general theater training with everybody else, which, I'm not trying to knock it, but that's not what I wanted. So
Right.
my friend at the time was like, Julie, you got to fight this. And, because they were already a BFA actor at Montclair. And they said they don't even cast the theater kids in their productions hardly ever. Like they never get a lead. It's very rare. She said, if you want to be actually acting while you're in college, you need to be a BFA actor. So I went, rather than just sit there and, complain to the school, I prayed about it, and I just felt God tell me, no, go be a theater major. We'll take care of this. So I go, my first year, I audition. I don't even get a call back for any of the shows. This is my first year in college. And I'm thinking to myself, my friend was right. They're not going to cast me ever in a show being a theater major. I made a mistake. So I prayed and I was like, God, please show me that you want me here. Show me that you want me to be a theater major still at this school. I'm wasting my time. The very next year, the very first show, it was The Crucible. And I got one call back, and it was for Elizabeth Proctor in The Crucible, which is one of the lead characters. So my competition were 2 or 3 other BFA actresses that I was up against.
Okay.
So I was like, here I go. I'm up against, they're the best. And anyway, my whole point is I ended up getting the role. I ended up, after that, subsequently getting cast in all the rest of the theater productions. And the professors were saying, why weren't you a BFA actor? Why didn't you audition to be in the BFA? And I'm like, well, there's a story behind that. My point is, what I'm saying is, through all of this is, if you go to God with your talent, with your gift, and you say, like, Lord, is this what you want me to do? Is this my goal? Is this what I should be following, my purpose? And I believe that he will show you very clearly. Like in my case, I thought that, you're not getting cast. You're not you're just a theater major. And then just going before God and be like, you need to let me know, should I be here or not? So I think actors should have that kind of faith to really just trust God with their talents and that he'll use it.
Absolutely. And that's where and this was early in the game for you, but that's where the frustration, can kick in. It's like, what's going on? I mean, should I even be doing this? Or, am I wasting my time? I mean, what's really going on? And what propels you forward? One thing is just that love for the craft, but ultimately, first and foremost and above and beyond, is your faith. Because if you know that God put you here, I believe God wants me to do this. Not only do I love it, but God wants me to do this. That faith will cause you to go over, because God will communicate it to you. He will show you, and that's what it comes. And that's great advice for young people to hear, particularly when we're talking about faith-based actors and actresses, because, they do know who the Lord is. They know where the power source is. But even then, it can become confusing and frustrating. Like, God, what are you doing? What's happening right now? Well, you know what? Guess what? You can talk to God and he'll talk back. He'll talk back to you. He won't just leave you hanging. God never leaves you hanging. So that's great advice for young people, for sure. I love it. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, great interview. Julie Crisante, right, Julie?
Yes, Chris.
All right.
Yes.
I'm not going to mess that up again. Doggone it. Julie Crisante. And so, no, Julie, that was great advice for young people. I love it. And we got to make sure, Julie, too. I'll add one more thing. We got to make sure that our young people in Christ are getting ready for what's coming up next. We can see that God's getting ready to do something in the earth. And I mean, it's just, oh my goodness, God's getting ready to do something really, really big. I can tell you that. Right? There's so many things going on in the world right now that, quite frankly and honestly, could very well, not saying that it is because I'm not a prophet, but it does look like things are kind of lining up with Revelation. You know, and it's like, you know, we all need to get ready for what God is getting ready to do, meaning we have to be more focused on our faith in him, in Christ, than ever before, because the warfare is on, like it's, I can't say never, but it's on. The warfare, the spiritual warfare that's going on in the world right now. So young people, get ready because God's doing something special, and just make sure that your hearts are focused on him. Now, Julie, what do you have coming up on the horizon in the world of entertainment?
So, well, I would say first is Fabled. That, you know, we're hoping it has to, I believe, go through a certain process, you know, just to before it ever, you know, goes to distribution, or I'm sorry, getting into a place of ongoing episodes. But so you can look forward to that. Also, I have begun, I would say, preliminary things of writing a new script, which would be a faith-based sci-fi / drama. When I say faith-based, though, you know, it's very kind of with a lot of grit and a lot of punch and a lot of real things. But so, yeah, that's, I guess, the two things that are going on right now.
Awesome stuff. And Venus Monique stops by and says, "Hey, Julie, what's happening?" Venus Monique of Vindication. Thanks, Venus, for stopping by. And Gigi, thanks for hanging out. Love it. Is there any way that fans, Julie, can follow you on social media or by website?
Sure. So my website is just juliecrisante.com. I don't necessarily know you can follow that. You can follow on Facebook or on my Instagram, which is Jule Crisante. So just Jule, then my last name. Yeah, and that's my Instagram handle.
Awesome stuff. Julie Crisante on the Maurice Brown Show. Again, you can see her in her most recent film with Leland Klassen, my main man, and Sleeper Agent, which was done recently with Gigi Orsillo as well, and Mark Christopher Lawrence. And I didn't mention Matt Falk. What was it like working with Matt Falk, by the way, Julie?
You know, I actually didn't have like the privilege to actually act in any scenes with him. However, I did get to meet him at the premiere, and, you know, needless to say, very hilarious human being for sure.
Yes, Matt Falk is an awesome stand-up comic. I can tell you that right now. Yeah, Venus, check out. Matter of fact, I'm glad you mentioned that, Venus, because if you watch this video and you like it, share it and subscribe to the Maurice Brown Comedy channel on YouTube. And then tonight, probably about 6 or 7 p.m., you can see the replay if you missed it on Roku TV, the Creative Motion Network. That's going to be at about 7 p.m. tonight if you missed the entirety of this program with actress Julie Crisante. Julie, thank you once again for being on the show. This has been a heck of a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see you in Fabled. May the peace of Christ be with you and your family, Julie. God bless you.
Oh, thank you, Maurice. Thank you. God bless you.